Всем добрый день, и сегодня мы...
Good afternoon, everyone, and today we continue our live streams robot environment with Robostation with the support of our YouTube channel Pro Robots and the National Association of Robotics Market Participants. We had some technical glitches related to our live stream, but we are here, we are going live, and we have quite unusual live stream. We invited speakers from 4 different Asian countries, Malaysia, Singapore, China, and Japan. And I think that we will have a very fruitful conversation about robots in Asia. If you like our content, please subscribe to our channel, share this video. This is how you motivate us to create more content and better videos. My name is Alexander Baikin. I'm the author of Pro Robots channel, and Alisa Koniukhovskaia, the Executive Director of Communication. You have the floor, Alisa, by the way.
Hello everyone, nice to see you, and I'm very glad that we will have such interesting conversation with our international partner from Asia country.
И наш вопрос.
Hello, Alisa.
I would like to present our international participants. It is Xiaogan Sung from China Robot Industry Alliance, Oliver Tian, he is leader of Singapore Industrial Automation Association, Shanlin, president of Asia Pacific Assistive Robotics Association from Singapore, Iskandar Baharin, he is the president of Malaysia Robotics and Automation Society, and Eitirami Agdoe, he is a former CEO of Kawasaki Heavy Industries in Russia. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
It's great. So we shall start. Alexander, is right?
Yeah. Please answer our questions.
I do not hear translation.
Okay, and we will start from Miyazawa-san from Japan. As we know, Japan is the most industrial robots country who produce more than 50% of industrial robots. And we would like to ask, how did you achieve this? And what can you say about another service robots in your country? Miyazawa-san, слышите нас?
Alexander Miyazawa-san, do you copy us? I will start, right? Yes, absolutely. We listen to you about the history of Japanese industrial robots. Yes, we can hear you well. Once again, Alisa, can you hear me? Can you see my presentation?
Yes, I can see.
Let me start. Thank you for the confirmation, colleagues. One moment. The sound is good. Okay. Thank you. I'll briefly tell about the situation in Japan around robots and so on and so forth. This is the photo of the robots station that I pictured when I was in Russia. I left Russia 2 or 3 years ago, maybe 4 years. So the picture was taken 4 years ago. You speak an excellent, amazing Russian, Miyazoe-san. It touches straight to the heart. I've been living in Russia for 10 years, and I can speak about Russia a lot. But the topic is different. I would like to speak about the fact that Japan manufacturers of industrial robots take more than 50% of the overall global market. Why? The question is why? And I would like to highlight who are we and what our company does. May I? Of course. A couple of words about Kawasaki company. Who are you in 3 languages? Some say that Kawasaki, the majority of Kawasaki products are about motoring devices. Yes, Kawasaki motorcycle brand is very strong, but our company is very multifaceted and our portfolio is very diversified. We manufacture ships, trains, airplanes and their components, different compressors and pieces of equipment. We construct our plant and we work in motoring industry. But the most important for our today's topic is that we manufacture industrial robots. We have gas turbines, we have motorcycles, we have water treatment equipment, and we are constructing a plant in the Middle Asia. So I go back to today's topic. The market share of Japanese robot manufacturers is more than 50%. Why? The answer is very simple, because we Japanese people are robots. No, that's not true. That's actually a joke. Take a look. Japan has 124 million inhabitants. In terms of population, we're a bit smaller than Russia. We have, in our industry, automotive manufacturers, Toyota, Nissan, and Honda, Kawasaki and Mitsubishi in industrial manufacturing. In electronics, we have Panasonic and Sony. Alongside with that, we have manufacturers who construct industrial robots. We and our esteemed competitors, other manufacturers, A, B, and C. So in our tiny, tiny country, we have both heavy industry and the manufacturers of industrial robots. We purchase robots from them and give them back feedback, and they give us back better robots that are even cooler, that are even better. This is the logic chain that we have, and this is the main reason why Japan manufacturers account for 50% of the global market. And what about our company? This is the range of our robots. You can easily access this information on our website. And our robots can lift from 3 kilos to 1.5 tons in charge. And within our company, the situation mirrors the situation in the country. We have the factory where Kawasaki robots are being manufactured, but we also have our plant that manufactures different high-tech products. So we use our own robots to manufacture our own high-tech products. But the plant staff provides us with the feedback saying this is not working very well, this you need to improve, and so on and so forth. So this is the loop of improvement, the loop of constant improvement. This is the way for us to guarantee constant improvement. So the same logic, the same chain is here. So to my mind, this is the secret of success of the Japanese industrial robots manufacturers. Does it answer your question, Alexander? Yes, Miyadori-san, wonderful presentation. Could you please elaborate on service robots? It's a very interesting topic. Could you please turn on my first video? I had 3 of them. We will loop them in the order that you sent it to me. Could you please skip this one and go to the next one?
Вы можете продолжать.
Just please continue. Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is the right one. Wonderful. This describes the situation with the service robot. It's the robot avatar, and people with disabilities can work remotely and take part in social activities. It's a cafeteria with robot avatars around. I'm sorry, Midori-san. Can we launch the third video because it is more related to what we are hearing? No, this one is the right one. I'm sorry. This is the right one. 9,500 of people have a disease that prevents them from actually participating in the social life. They are chained to the bed, and they can guide the robot using their eyes movement. And so these robots, they serve food and drinks in cafes and cafeterias. And people lying on the bed, they can see the world through the eyes of this robot. So the robot offers some coffee, brings the coffee, and receives a payment. They meant thank you. And these disabled people can not only earn money, but be involved in social activity. This is a brief description of the situation with the service robot that has been developed by this startup. So in a nutshell, this is it. Thank you very much, Miyazori-san. And I would like to say that maybe our viewers are interested to know why Japanese people tend to love robots. Maybe you can describe your attitude towards soulless items. Maybe it will bring us to better understanding why Japanese Japanese people have different attitudes towards robots as compared to Russians, for instance. Oh, I didn't see this question coming, frankly speaking. Have you ever seen Japanese cartoons? I've seen some, yeah. Since I was very young, I loved this genre. So my generation watched these cartoons since they were little kids, and many of us dreamt of producing robot with souls and manufacture similar robots. In our company, we manufacture different products But now our president is the developer of a robot, and he had this dream as well from his childhood to create a soulmate robot. And if we have time, I will show our new development robot surgeon, because he dreamt of robots helping people. Just a couple of words maybe right now about this new development. Okay, would you please be so kind to show us the second video? Okay. This news came November 18th this year about our new innovative and news on heavy machinery industry in Japan. They keep diversifying their portfolio because their traditional products are in less demand due to COVID.
Kawasaki, together with partners, produced the robot-assisted surgery system. It was a know-how in robotics for such a surgery. And the results proved that that person inspected our robots, how smooth the robots work, just like real doctors. And this robot is equipped with function of remote control. You can see that, and here it says that according to the data of the Ministry of Healthcare of Japan, this is the first case when Japanese robotic industry company obtained a permission to produce a robot which could assist the surgery doctors. Air and space industry components, which is a traditional area for the company. This year we faced sharp decline due to the COVID situation, and it gave an impetus to strengthen other business areas, including the medical robots. And news not only from Kawasaki companies, but the situation with our colleagues from IHI. They produce robots, and they have problems with sales of traditional products as well. Now they are extending the business scope to survive in the post-COVID situation. In the middle of the video, you saw the machine and the person from our company. This is the president of our company who developed a robot for production of electronic components and semiconductors. When he was a kid, he dreamt of such medical robots which could undergo surgeries, and on his website he confessed that he dreamt about this exactly because he was the one watching cartoons in the childhood where robots were friends of a human. Thank you very much, Miyazoe-san. Robots and people have to be friends and interact. And first of all, robots are aimed to helping people. I have a brief question. These manipulators are Kawasaki manipulators, standard manipulators within the surgery robot, or these manipulators were designed especially for this surgery? These are our robots' arms, robotic arms. Of course, this requires the high level of accuracy, and since we have an experience of production of robots working in the sterile premises, as I said, which are used for production of semiconductors, etc. Yes, this experience can directly be applied for medical surgery robots. Thank you very much. It was very interesting to learn about Japanese market. Alisa, the next question, please.
Можно демонстрацию экрана выключить, пожалуйста?
Could you please stop sharing your screen?
It was very interesting to hear what's going on. So I want to ask our next question to our Chinese colleague, Xiaogan Song. Do you hear me? Xiaogan?
Yes, I can hear.
Great.
Yes, I can hear.
Great. We have some technical issues with the connected to China, but anyway, I think we will have the answer for our question. So, Xiaogan Song, China is actively developing robotics, and it's first country by the number of installed industrial robots. And near 40% of all of the world market is robots that works in China. And the density of robotization is very high, and it's 2 times more than 5 years ago. How did you achieve these numbers? How you start to be a leader in industrial robotics usage?
Okay. First of all, you mentioned that the 40% of the world market in China, but I would like to say that that 40% of world market robots in China, almost 70% of them are foreign robots. Japan, German, Yaskawa, Fanuc, ABB, KUKA. Okay, this is it. So that is the biggest market for the industry, that's for sure. But 70% of foreign robots, and I think because China is the biggest manufacture industry in the world, and another thing is that it's not only it is the biggest industry, the varieties of the manufacture sectors is very many kind of manufacturing sectors. So that industry sector, they need to upgrade. That is to increasing the quality, increasing the efficiency. So that kind of upgrading need automation, and of course automation at the moment now, robot is the key equipment. So that is because why the Chinese is the biggest industry robot market, because of its scale of manufacture and its varieties of manufacture sectors. And I think that is the main reason.
Okay, but do you have any government support for robotics implementation and development?
Yes, but the government support or the government policies is mainly encourage the manufacture sectors to upgrade their equipment, to develop automation, and to use robotics to promote the automation. So that is actually the policy is mainly to increasing the level of manufacture sectors. So that kind of policy or measures actually is to open the market for industry robot.
So the government is more focused to support robot implementation, or it more
That's right.
focused to robotics development for some kind of new technologies?
The new technology sector is not only robot industry sectors. Other industry sectors are the same. Government always support the common technologies, the key technology for the robotics industry. So, but for the quick development of robotics industry, its main reason is that they have the potential market, have the biggest market of the manufacturer.
Okay. Okay. So, and what kind of support government do for enterprises? Like a subsidies for robot implementation, or what kind of?
For example, if one of the manufacturing sectors or one of the enterprises, they want to use they want to develop the automation, they want to use the robotic industry robots, and then government support them to support their equipment renovation of the sector.
Okay, so government support implementation and innovation of implementation and modernization of enterprises, and it's important because in Russia mostly government focus on developments of new technologies and less to support industry to implement such kind of technologies. Xiaogan Song, I also have to you one more question, that labor force in China is very cheap, and why do enterprise need to replace workers by robots?
First of all, the labor cost.
Китайская международная выставка торговли услугами
Compare with the Southeast countries like Vietnam, Malaysia, the labor cost is much higher than that kind of country. That is the labor cost is cheaper. That is the 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, 20 years ago. That is the case, but it's not the case anymore. Another factor is that because I just mentioned that there's so many different manufacturing sectors, like some foundry, like heat treatment, this kind of industry, which the working environment is not so good, high temperature and heavy duty job. So that kind of job is no longer for the younger generation. The younger generation no longer wants to do that. Even you pay them a higher salary, so even you pay them a higher salary than before, they still don't want to do that kind of not environmentally friendship work. So two reasons. One reason is that the labor cost is higher than before. Another reason is that the younger generation is more likely to work in the office. Do not want to do the heavy duty jobs.
Okay. So I agree with you. I think that we have the same in Russia, that new generation do not want to work in duty and dull occupation, and they want to do more innovative occupation and jobs, and or they want to work in office. And yes, I agree with you that now in other countries have a more cheaper labor force than in China. In China now is more more expensive labor force. Thank you, Xiaogan. I think we can move to our another speaker, Iskander Baharin.
Okay.
Iskander, hello.
Yes, Alisa. Yes.
So I have a question to you. what's going on with robotics in Malaysia, and tell us about robot manufacturing or robot application in your country. What is the driver of robotics development in your country?
Yes, thank you, Alisa, for the question. Right now in Malaysia, the adoption of robots is getting very exciting because of the incentive being given by the, number one, by the government. There is a program, a blueprint by the government called Industry Forward Policy, where they try to encourage a lot of manufacturers to adopt robots in their factories. Yeah. Currently, I can say the situation now in Malaysia, robots are mainly used because of productivity gain. Yeah, meaning that why people want to install robots is because they have no choice but to compete by increasing the productivity of their company. That's number one. Number two is because of shortage of labor. Because in Malaysia right now, maybe the same situation is in China. The young generation, they don't want to work in a factory anymore. And also there's a lot of foreign labor in Malaysia. So when you have a lot of foreign labor, and when you have a lot of young people who does not want to come and work on the factory floor, most of this factory, they have no choice but to go into automation. And that is where the incentive by the government is playing an important role to that. So I can say these are the two factors. The other factor is also because Malaysia is also part of a bigger nation, which is the ASEAN countries. Yeah. So I hope if you allow me to share a bit about the ASEAN market and how Malaysia is spending a lot of export activities trying to build the ASEAN market. Yeah? Is it okay if I share my screen on the ASEAN market and the importance of robotics to increase our export and GDP for the country? And then from there, I'm hoping that the Russian market robot makers will also be able to see where are the areas of opportunities that they can see robot markets in Asia that they can participate. Yeah? Is that okay, Alisa?
Yeah, you can show your presentation, or you need
help. Yes, yeah.
Okay, good, I see.
So can you all see my my screen here?
Все ли видят мой?
Yes, I can see.
Okay. So if you can see here, this is Malaysia. So we are a population of 30 million country. Originally, there's a lot of robots being used in the factories by the multinational companies. So now robots are being used in other sector. Okay. So because some of the Malaysian companies, they are also operating in other ASEAN countries. So we are seeing more and more robotics application in Malaysia being transferred to Thailand, to Indonesia, to Vietnam, and also to Philippines. Yeah. So when our Russian market, if they look at the ASEAN country, when they look at Malaysia, try to think that Malaysia is a network of a bigger countries, which is the ASEAN country, which is well connected. Okay. In terms of ASEAN, we are the 6th largest economy in the world. Okay, so this is where Malaysia plays an important role in ASEAN. So the first economy is the US, the size is big, followed by China, Japan, Germany, United Kingdom, followed by ASEAN. And we are also the 3rd largest market in the world in terms of population. For example, China has 1.4 billion population, India has 1.3 billion, ASEAN has almost 635 million, followed by the EU and also the US. Okay, so this is creates the huge robotics market for Malaysia. Also, in terms of the trading partners, you see that within the ASEAN countries itself, there's a lot of trading happening, almost 23%. Trading between the ASEAN countries, followed by trading with China, which is 16%, European Union 10%, the US 10%, and also Japan, which is 9%. In terms of foreign direct investment, there's a lot of investment coming from Europe, from EU country, 33%, followed by within our ASEAN countries itself. So like Malaysia, we invest in Thailand, we invest in Indonesia, we invest in Vietnam. The same thing in US also, there's a lot of investment into ASEAN, followed by Japan and China. When we do business in Malaysia, okay, so through Malaysia, we can connect to the ASEAN countries, and we also have other collaboration agreement like under the ASEAN Free Trade Area, we have the ASEAN-Japan agreement, the ASEAN-China agreement, the ASEAN-Korea agreement, the ASEAN-India agreement, and also the ASEAN-Australia and New Zealand agreement. So recently, we have just signed the RCEP agreement, and also we are now negotiating the ASEAN-Hong Kong agreement. Okay. This is just to understand the map of our ASEAN countries. So this is where we are, Malaysia, our friend, our neighbor, Singapore, Thailand, Cambodia, Indonesia, Brunei, Vietnam, Philippines, Laos, and also Myanmar. Okay. These are basically, very quickly, we are the biggest crude palm oil production. So we are seeing a lot of robots going to be applied in the plantation sector. Natural rubber production, as you know, we are the greatest in ASEAN, or Malaysia is the greatest exporter of robots. Rubber, especially now during the COVID. So there's a lot of production and there's a lot of robots in this type of factory. And also, so these are among, and also in agriculture, there is a lot of rice production. So we are seeing more and more robots being applied in the production of rice. And also in the seaport, the ports, also there's a lot of logistics robots now at the ports. Just to share in terms of where robots are being used in ASEAN, for example, let's say in Singapore, 20% of the GDP contribution is in manufacturing. So robots, I believe is a lot is being used there. But for Malaysia, these are the main user of where robots are, which is mainly in manufacturing. And you can see that robots are being used in manufacturing sector. In the number one is in the automotive sector. That's the main user of robots. Number two is the electrical electronics. Number three is in the pharmaceutical. Number four is in the food industry. So if I can share, what is the reason why people in Malaysia or maybe in ASEAN in general, why do they want to use robots? Or they want to go into IR 4.0? Because they want 70% is saying that they want to improve their business process and productivity, as I mentioned just now. So we're looking at reason why we use robot. We want to improve the business process and also productivity. 41% because they want to improve their customer experience. Because when you use robot, the products are more quality and more accurate. 36% they use robots or IR 4.0 is because of cost reduction. Okay, and 28% is because they want to develop new revenue stream. Because when they use robot, they can produce other products, other high mix, low volume kind of activity. Yeah? Now, this is a snapshot of Malaysia. In terms of the manufacturing value add, you can see that electrical electronics contributes 29 billion of our manufacturing goods. So this is where most of the robots are being used in Malaysia. Followed by the, as I mentioned, the textile and apparel, also the food and beverages, okay? And then the other consumer goods and also the, in petroleum. So outside Malaysia, in other ASEAN countries, you will see a very mixed situation. Like in Indonesia, they produce a lot of food. So Malaysian companies, we sell robots, or most of our systems integrator, they are doing a lot of robot installation for Indonesia in the food. I have a lot of Malaysian, our MIRAS members, who are systems integrator, they see a lot of robots opportunities here. The same thing with Thailand. And at the same time, in the automotive, we do collaboration a lot in Thailand and also in Philippines. Okay. In terms of the situation of the what is at stake, because in Malaysia we know that if we don't use robots now, and there's difficulty in labor, and there's also competition in technology in IR 4.0. So in the ASEAN countries, there's a lot of now support for all the factories to adopt IR 4.0 or robotics. Because if you don't do this, about 250 billion of our opportunities will be lost if you don't do it now. By 2028, the prediction by the World Economic Forum, by UNIDO and all that, statistics has shown that in ASEAN countries or in Malaysia, this is the opportunity loss if you don't convert to robotics. At the same time, because we introduce robot, about almost a lot of people will be displaced. They will be displaced. So, for example, like in Malaysia, because of robotics and automation and IR 4.0, we predict that 1.2 million will be out of job, which is 7.4%. In Indonesia, as ASEAN countries, about 9.5 million will be out of job, which is 8.1%. In Philippines, about 4.5 million people will be out of job, which is 10%. So if you look at the top six ASEAN countries, which is active in manufacturing, everybody will be losing, the workers will be losing their job, but it doesn't mean that they are losing their job, but they will have to be retrained and redeployed to other sector, such that the factories will be more automated and all that. So this is the next program. Finally, I would like to share, this is one model that Malaysia and Korea, we are collaborating, how the Malaysia robotics and also the Korean robotics is now collaborating. Yeah. So between Malaysia and Korea, we have the government to government, I can say, agreement, which is the bilateral industrial cooperation agreement. So it's between our Ministry of Trade and also the Ministry of Trade by Korea. And then there is an agency in Malaysia, is called MARI, which is the Malaysia Automotive Robotics and IoT Institute. So they have an MOU with the Korean Institute of Robot Industry Advancement. So this is the agency to agency. There is already an MOU. At the association level, there is MIRAS, which I'm the president. And also MIRAS, we have an MOU with KA, which is the Korean Association for Robot Industry. So MIRAS and KA, we collaborate to support our members to do business together, where we discuss RFP, business matching, we do human capital development. So here, for Malaysia, we're looking at Korea as our technology source, skilled workforce, high-tech equipment, process IP, ecosystem, incentive, and global market. Looking at Malaysia because of production costs, labor costs, which is lower, financial costs, which is lower, logistics, tax incentive, and cost of business. So we are looking at 6 sectors, which is the services sector, the manufacturing sector, agriculture sector, construction, and minerals. So I would like to invite our friends from Russia and maybe from China and also from Japan to maybe consider this model, this bilateral industrial collaboration model for us to explore this robotics collaboration between our respective country, where through this collaboration framework, I think with Malaysia, we can enter into the ASEAN. We can enter into the ASEAN market. So I think that's all that I can share.
Thank you.
So I think I will stop there, and actually I have a very short video just to share with the audience a bit about the digital transformation that is going on in
Включите звук,
ASEAN
видео,
countries.
пожалуйста.
I ask our tech people to roll the video, please. Now it's on screen. You can comment on that.
Yes, yeah. So this video, because when you talk about robotics, the digital network is very, very important. So now Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, they all have developed a common digital framework such that our manufacturing and also our connectivity is good. So here you will see that starting from Singapore, I think maybe our friends from Singapore will talk a lot more on. Singapore is championing the logistics sector, because logistics sector, they use a lot of robots and they use a lot of digital technology. So connectivity is very, very important. So Singapore is like our logistics hub for the ASEAN countries. Okay. So I know in Malaysia we rely on the network, the port services of Singapore. Okay. The next one is agriculture. You will see that now a lot of people are now using their handphone as the means of communicating with outdoor activities. So we are seeing in Malaysia, we are seeing more people using their handphone to control robots. These are robots outside the factory. For example, robots are being used for the drone application. The drone application, robots are being used for the supermarket. And this young generation, they will use their handphone to communicate to all these robots. So a lot of this, you will see that the traders right now they're using the handphone. So in Malaysia, there is now what we call it the cooking robot. Cooking robot are also slowly being developed by the young generation. So Malaysia, we are famous for our food. So we are going to see soon a lot of cooking robot. Yeah. The other one is the SME. Malaysia, we are being given the responsibility to develop the SME for ASEAN. Yeah. So you will see here that a lot of the experience of the SME in Malaysia is now being exported to the ASEAN countries. So I myself is very active in helping the Malaysian local SME to adopt robots, right? To adopt robots, to use robots. So if any of the Russian or the China or the from Japan who likes to business the SME, you can talk to Myras, and we can also share the SME experience in the ASEAN countries as well. The other one is the infrastructure, which is the things like the infrastructure like the highway, the transportation and all that is all well connected now. So again, this is also another application where robots are being used. The other one is finally is in education. Now, education is very, very, very important. You will see that education now is being used because the movement of students between the ASEAN countries and also for training. So you will see Malaysia will go to Vietnam to get training in software engine, in software and all that. So I think maybe I think that is what I would like to share. Maybe I think that was more towards the end of the video now. So I think in summary, when you talk about Malaysia, you would talk about ASEAN. When you talk about ASEAN, you talk about Malaysia, meaning there's a tagline which we call Malaysia truly Asia. Malaysia truly Asia. So when you have Malaysia, you have the ASEAN experience or the Asia experience. So thank you, Alisa. Maybe it's a bit long, so thank you very much.
It's great to
Искандер, большое спасибо. Теперь мы знаем.
Iskander, thank you very much indeed. Now we know what is going on in Malaysia with robots. Thank you for this very exhaustive presentation, because Malaysia is not well known in Russia in terms of robots. And I would like to give the floor to our next guest, Shanlin Lee, President of Asia Pacific Assistive Robotics Association. Welcome. Good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you guys too.
Здорово. Сингапур вообще считается лидером инноваций.
Amazing. Singapore is being perceived as the leader of innovations. Could you please elaborate on the way robots help people in Singapore, maybe some cutting-edge recent developments? That would be very interesting for us. Maybe, I'm thinking about the brightest examples, the ones that pop to your mind directly when we talk about robots.
Sure. Okay, so basically we have two organizations which are supporting our robotics innovation in Singapore, the National Robotic Research Program Office and the AIS Singapore. Well, both work closely with the Smart Nation Program Office, and we believe that the technology can be deployed of robotics solutions target the increase in productivity as well as applications, where skills shortage is more evident and the job functions can be automated to supplement the human workforce. Together with the government agencies, APARA helped to reach out to the larger community. Firstly, to enhance the use of robotics to augment human potential. Secondly, to stay connected with a network of technology enablers. And lastly but not least, to assist users to enjoy the experience of the transformation journey. I will get my colleague, Mr. Tian, to give you more details. Oliver, over to you.
Oliver, you are on mute.
Yeah, you are on mute.
Right, you can hear me now, right? Thanks for the opportunity. I wanted to kind of look at the discussion on AI and robotics in Singapore from the perspective to answer the question that you have. I guess Singapore is a small country. We have a total of 5.5 million people, and our working population thanks to Iskander for the global picture around ASEAN. And when we look at some of the stats, the numbers of where Singapore fit in, right, 0.5 million hit on workforce displacement is 20% of the workforce. Less than 20% of the workforce, 20-25% of the workforce. So as you can tell, we are in a state where we're quite different from the rest of the bigger countries. We have.
I'm sorry, Oliver. We don't hear you well. Please speak slowly and maybe to give microphone here,
Oliver,
not
we do
to.
not hear you. Oliver?
Can you hear me better now?
We have some noise. Maybe you have something with microphone. Okay.
Please speak slowly a little bit to get information.
Now try again.
Right. So I was saying that Singapore basically is a smaller population, and our working population is only about 2.2 million. Right. So with thanks to the global picture that Prof. Iskander have shared around the ASEAN environment, I'll dive in now to look at what Singapore is doing, and let me give more stats around the Singapore picture, and following that we will look at a couple of examples. So one thing I'd like to start off with is in 2017, Singapore commissioned a committee on future economy. And it was something which we felt was necessary because we see the wave of automation and robotization coming at a great speed. And we felt that it was important for us to transform to a future economy. So this committee comprises of representatives from more than 200 companies in Singapore and across the government agencies. And it developed 7 strategies which we felt was important for Singapore's transformation. These 7 strategies are shown on the slide here. But what is important, and if you look deeper into each of these strategies, you will recognize that the strategies require automation and robotics. And that was really what we felt was important. So as a result of that, we created industry transformation maps. Industry transformation map that target 23 sectors in total, and try to understand where each of these sectors require automation, where each of these sectors requires robotics, and we started to apply accordingly. Of course, some sectors will require less automation and less robotics. Some sectors will require more. As if I could refer back to the statistics that were shown by Iskander, you will see that depending on the industry and the sectors that are in, the level of automation would differ. So what we hope to do is that for the sectors which are already automated, mainly in the logistics and manufacturing space, we wanted to improve and advance the level of robotics deployment. On the other hand, where we see sectors that has very little or perhaps even no deployment, we want to introduce the technology to the sectors. We believe in this way we lift the entire economy to a level where they can fully automate. In doing so, we also recognize that it is important that AI play an important part. So we did not separate AI and robotics. In fact, we integrated both together and believe that the whole space of making the robot intelligent, having smart machines is important. We see that robots go beyond the factory, and service robots become a very important part of how we want to drive our future economy. So this is an example of how we have started to deploy robots in the restaurants, robots that are able to serve food, robots that are able to collect the used utensils and bring it back to the kitchen. We're seeing quite a bit of this happen. In fact, we felt that as we do this, the productivity increases. And productivity is a very interesting word. Because when we increase productivity, there are two things you can do today. One, increase the number of manpower, have more people join the workforce and contribute to productivity. The second is you work longer hours. You put in more time and effort to increase productivity. In Singapore, we believe that productivity can also be increased by supplementing the digital workforce. Hence, robotization becomes a very important component of the whole transformation process. And we understand that there will be a situation where workforce will have to be retrained and made available to other sectors, and perhaps upskill to the level whereby they spend more time supervising and managing the robots. Hence, we created a program around how the workforce can be resilient, and we created a program to allow our workforce to have a lifelong learning program and continue to retrain themselves to adapt to the new environment. This is a diagram this is a news that we launched sometime last year, right? Singapore was one of the countries that also launched the National AI Strategy, and this AI strategy embeds into the whole robotic automation program. Now, what is important is there are three pieces here. One is the National Robotic Program that we have, and Shanlin mentioned about this. Two is the National AI Singapore Program. And finally, what integrates both together is our Smart Nation initiative. So all three components work very closely together, and they are all led by our Foreign Minister, Dr. Vivian Balakrishnan, who himself is a very tech-savvy individual. And we find that it is very important that all this come together in order for us to move our industry, our economy forward. So remembering, two-pronged approach. One is to advance the current automation level so that we use new age technology, smart robots in the industry that are already using robots. Two, to introduce robotics to sectors which have not or are thinking about using robots. Hence, we look at how the whole component of our Smart Nation initiative homes in on robotics. And robotics is a very important part of this initiative. There are a number of reasons why we are doing this. And like most countries, we talk about China, we talk about Malaysia, where the young do not want to get their hands dirty and prefer the office job. Well, we have a different set of issues, right? Firstly, our population is aging very fast, and that becomes a serious issue. Hence, the need to look at how robots industry. We're also seeing a declining birth rate, and the declining birth rate means the young population to support the elderly will become smaller and smaller, and the burden will be higher on them. Thirdly, we're seeing an increase in longevity. Singaporeans are living longer. In fact, globally, I believe most most countries are seeing increase in longevity. So as the population grow older, do they really retire at 55? And we've increased our retirement age from 55 to 57 to 60, and the latest is we're trying to move to 67. Now, if we extend the retirement age by a decade or more, what does that mean? How can we continue to engage the elderly in a role where they can contribute to the economy? Fourthly, from a labor shortage standpoint, we suffer tremendously because in order to maintain the productivity and the economic growth, we need labor. And there's no way we can increase the population to support the growing economy. Hence, the need for robotization comes in and play a very important role. Labor gaps. This is where we feel we can do a lot more. We can do a lot more in terms of upskilling and retraining our people to understand the technology, to understand robotics, and learn how to manage the robots in order for us to be successful in this whole initiative. And finally, while we continue to import foreign labor, the land space that we have is so limited, it is almost difficult, and we cannot continue to import foreign labor, and we need to figure out what is the best way to to introduce productivity without additional manpower, and hence robotics become a very key part to discussion. APARA and SIA actually went into a discussion with the government, and last year, right in November, we drove a program called AIBotics. AIBotics, which stands for AI in Robotics, putting the two together, and the regulators in Singapore are looking at how, with the introduction of AI in robotics, that's going to impact, and that's how we need to change the way we work, live, and play. And this year, we have just successfully completed our 2020 edition of AIBotics. And together with this, we spent quite a bit of effort to actually educate the public around the introduction of robotic technology. And we have, with the local paper, the Straits Times and the Business Times, introduced a series of articles and contribution to help people understand that robotics can be applied in all different sectors of the economy. Hence, we believe we are on the right track. We believe we need to upskill and build smart citizenry, smart nation. Smart skill will not be successful if citizens are not smart. Hence, we spend quite a bit of time educating the masses around the technology and enabling them to use the technology. So, if I look at what I just suggested here, there are multiple areas that we've applied robotics. Manufacture, that's really our space, and we've gone into advanced manufacturing to adopt very smart manufacturing technology into the factory space. We also started to introduce robotics into F&B sector and retail. We do see the use of robotics in the restaurants. We do see the use of robotics in the retail sector as a concierge. We also see robotics in the hospitality sector in terms of hotels, where it can greet and meet visitors and clients to the hotel. We also see the potential of robotics in education. We are trying to look at how we can best introduce robotics to help with the education program. So as you can tell, we are spending quite a bit of time in different sectors, 23 of them in total, and trying to see how best we can actually help these sectors become successful in the deployment of robotics. So maybe that gives you a global picture of how we are introducing robotics in Singapore and the different sectors that we've applied robotics. So maybe I hand back over to the host for the next set of questions so that I can continue to explain more about the landscape in Singapore.
Shanlin и Оливер, большое спасибо.
Shanlin and Oliver, thank you very much for such an interesting presentation about Singapore, about the strategy, and we can see that actually all the leading Asian countries are thinking and make serious programs on the robotics development. Of course, we shall follow them, duplicate their experience, because robotics is the future because of the reasons mentioned by our guests. We have many questions from the audience, and let us proceed with this question. I believe that the first question is a very topical one, which we prepared together with Alisa, how the robots in Asia fight the COVID, how the pandemics influence the robotics development, and maybe our guests could tell us about the basic bright examples, vivid examples of robotics application in fight of the COVID. Let us start with Japan. Japan experience. Miyazoe-san, could you please tell us on how the COVID impacted the development of robotics, maybe some examples, some best practices? Yes, sure. I will start with application. The COVID situation in Japan I will show you. Unfortunately, we are limited in time. Please, briefly. Yes, sure. Actually, we have developed PCR COVID tests using robots. It all can be placed in a container 13 meters long, and it will take 80 minutes, 1 hour, 20 minutes. Without people, or there are some functions that performed by people now, we just give the analysis, the speed test, then, and after that the result will be provided to the person. We plan to locate these stations in the airports first, in Japan, as for now. Thank you very much. Iskander, what about COVID situation in your country and how the robots help to fight COVID?
Yes, yes.
Because unfortunately COVID wins at the moment.
Thank you, Alex. Malaysia, I would like to share two experiences. One is as normal robots in Malaysia, we are now pushing robots in hospitals, in also in the service industry. That is normal. There's a lot of mobile robots. There's a lot of disinfectant robots. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to put some videos, but maybe next time I will share a lot of the videos that we have done. But interestingly, in the manufacturing sector, we are seeing collaborative robots being introduced, because most of these factories, they want to see less and less people working in the factory floor. So they want to see less people touching the products. So the only solution is to bring in collaborative robots, either in the welding, in the painting, in the polishing and all that. So, and also the spacing of workers also is now distance. So because of the spacing, now there's less people who can stay in the factory. So because of that, so mobile robots and also collaborative robots, these are the two robots that is now being sold very actively. So this is the Malaysian experience. Of course, in terms of the thermal scanner, the testing kits, the station, as what our friends in Japan has done, there are several projects or activities people are trying to do that, but they're still at the prototype stage. So they are not ready for mass production. So, but in terms of the user, I can say robots now has gone in hospital, in healthcare, also in the factory. Collaborative robot and mobile robots are slowly, quickly trying to support the human being. Yeah. Thank you.
Спасибо. Shanlin.
Thank you very much, Shanlin and Oliver. What about Singapore? How the robots fight the COVID? Who wins? Who is winning at the moment, robots or COVID?
I hope this earpiece is better. Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Sorry about the earlier case. I understand that the voice didn't go through very well. So in Singapore, primarily we are looking at the deployment of robots in two areas. One is a disinfection robot, a robot that is able to move around autonomously in the nights to spray disinfectant in the buildings. Companies are starting to use it instead of a human moving around to do the job. Because the robot can move autonomously, it saves a lot of effort from the human side, and in fact, we can actually cover a lot more ground. Now, the human cleaner actually do not lose its job. In fact, what we do is we have the human cleaner supervise the robots in the cleaning process. All right. So instead of having a cleaner to go from floor to floor or different segments of the office to do the cleaning, now we have the robot doing the job and a human worker supervising and ensuring the robot is doing correctly and giving the quality checks to ensure that that's being done. The second deployment of robots in the healthcare space to combat COVID-19 is the use of Telepresence Robots. As we all know, the current virus is highly infectious, and for the doctors and the medical staff to visit the patient and do its regular monitoring and checks, typically they will have to dress up in the PPE, right? And it takes a while to get dressed up and then visit the patients, and once the visit is over, they have to dress down, and the PPE cannot be reused because of the potential spread of the virus. So what we have introduced is a telepresence robot which can be driven by the doctor from the control center. So the robot actually goes into the ward and moves around the patient, does the necessary monitoring and data capture, talk to the patient through the monitor, and actually scans around the ward, the bed, for any observation and information that is useful for the doctor. Now, in this way, instead of having 3 medical staff visit the patient for each of the monitoring process, what we have now is 1 to 2 robots that can go into the ward and do the job, while the staff, the medical staff, actually stays at the control room to do the communication. And in doing so, by having more robots, the efficiency of monitoring the patients increase quite well, especially the time saved to dress up and dress down from the PPE. So these 2 applications we feel are very useful and has contributed a lot to the productivity of the workers. And what we realize is that we have not increased the workforce, the number of workers to do the job. Instead, we have increased our efficiency, and the productivity of being able to complete the job, give it more coverage, has successfully been achieved at the same time. That's what we do as 2 major implementations of robotics to combat COVID-19.
Спасибо большое.
Thank you very much. I want to ask a question to Mr. Song about application of robots against COVID-19 in China, because we showed a number of videos about the Chinese robots, how they fight the COVID, and at the streets, at hospitals, you had the armies of robots fighting the COVID. Could you give us maybe best practices, best experience, and what are the potential robotics areas to fight COVID?
Okay, thank you, Alisa. Thank you, the host, for the question. And first of all, I would like to see because of the influence of COVID-19 and the industry robotization in China in 2019 is down 8.6%.
Алиса, можешь поближе микрофончик поднести?
Yes, you can continue.
На английский поставить, скорее всего.
For the industry, installation is 8.6% down. But for the service robot, the Chinese market is 14% increase. So in January, industry robot installations are affected because of the manufacture sector affected by the virus, by the COVID-19, because of the investment and the export and the consumer are down. But for the first, but for the service robot, as I just mentioned, is 14% increase. I think the service robot in the period of COVID-19 in China is developed very fast, and the main use of the service robot is like the Singapore, Malaysia, like just mentioned. Hospital is the main main sector for service robots, like medicine transportation with the HV, like disinfecting in the hospital, in the and also the temperature monitoring robot in almost all the public places, like at the gates of garden, at the gate of restaurant, at the gate of store, everywhere. So, and also one of our main research institute developed COVID-19 testing robots because to sampling from human for the testing is also very dangerous. So they developed the virus testing robots, which can replace doctors, nurses to sampling the samples. So the COVID-19 in China basically is almost under control since March. So, but still, because of the globally the pandemic is still going on, so it influenced the whole production chain, supply chain, and also influenced the export of China. And so that is for domestic market, the economic is recovering. For example, the third quarter of GDP in China is 3.2 increase, and the industry, the consume, and also the investment is also recovering, but still it's below the before the COVID-19. But we can see the trend of the economic in China, which is recovering fairly fast. So what we are now worried about is that globally the pandemic is still spreading, and for myself, I can't see how long it will be controlled, or how long it will be last globally in other countries. So that is the reason, or that is the main reason COVID-19 influenced China's economic is that to see how globally or how other countries pandemic can be controlled. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Sir Gonzalo. So, Alex, what is our next question?
Да, давайте к следующему. Спасибо, коллеги, что поделились вашим мнением. Вопрос Евгений задает следующий. Как вы думаете...
Thank you, dear colleagues. What will be dominating in the future of robotics? Will the robot production become cheaper for a narrow niche, or there will be a universal robot for many operations?
A universal robot, they'll be able to perform different operations. Any of our guests, you can take this question if you want. So what's the future?
Sorry, there was two translators at the same time. Can you repeat the question?
Вопрос? Okay, so the question is, what will be the future development of robots? To create cheaper robots for a specific task, or to create a more universal robot that will be able to do multitasking? Anyone can answer.
Sure, I don't mind giving it the first go, and I guess Iskander or Song could jump in there. Personally, I believe three things need to happen for robotics in the near future, short to middle term. Right. First of all, we need to be able to create intelligence in the robot that allows the robot to be a lot more autonomous. Today's autonomous robots actually work in a very limited sense, because if the environment gets too complex, the robot is not able to react to the number of variation in the environment. So it is important we need to start to look at the autonomy of the robot. And to do so, a lot more research have to go into that space. I'm not sure if it necessarily will be cheaper, but once it is proven and with sufficient mass production, the cost will come down. I also believe that in the space of reducing the cost of robots, it is important manufacturers start to look at 3D printing as an alternative to the mass production in the factories. So there is definitely a possibility where 3D printing can play a role to reduce the cost of production. The second thing to look at in this space of future robots will be in better, stronger, and faster computing power. 5G will play a very, very critical role in supporting stronger robots. And as the cost of communication, telecommunications come down, I also believe that the cost of deploying robotic technology will come down and make it more available to the man in the street for the public to use. But that also means that the public needs to be educated to understand technology in order for them to leverage the benefits of this technology. The third area is to start to look at robots that can cross discipline. Today's robots are very much in the very narrow space of deployment. And to look at universal robots means that the robot needs to be able to learn multi-sector databases. And in doing so, that brings about the question of ethics, that brings about the question of data that can be biased. So how do you expand the database that you collect and use it appropriately to cross-pollinate the applications, the thought process from one to another to make it more universal. So potentially, I think those are the three areas that the future robots will look like. I believe the cost will come down, but it has to be a different way of manufacturing. Secondly, we need to get more people to understand robots and be able to use it. And thirdly, the fact that we start to cross-pollinate robotic applications, that brings about the issue of biasness and ethics. So I'll leave it to the other guests to provide other inputs.
If I can
Спасибо, Оливер. Следующий. Конечно.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Can I add to what Oliver has mentioned? In Malaysia, we are seeing...
Yes, of course.
In Malaysia, we are seeing robots now being used based on the OPEX model as a service, as opposed to the CAPEX model as a capital expenditure machine. So because to serve the current industrial robots, the industrial robots are very, very rigid, very expensive. So most of the smaller companies, they cannot afford to purchase and to buy it. So the only way to sell this type of robots is now in Malaysia, we are seeing the leasing model or the service model, or what we call the OPEX, Operation Expenditure Model. So that is on the industrial robot side. On the collaborative robots, the more universal is better, because universal robots or collaborative robot is supposed to work with human being. Then there is also now robots for non-manufacturing sectors like agriculture, like construction, like healthcare. So we are seeing robots that are very dedicated, mostly it's been based on a mobile platform or on a universal manipulator or a gripper. So we are seeing in Malaysia a lot of these new young people starting to design robots for the non-manufacturing sector. And the other sector is also the what we call the soft robotics, which is the cloud robotics. So maybe a bit like what Oliver is saying, the more intelligent machines. These are more the AI, the machine to machine, the more of the cloud computing type of robots. So to answer your questions, robots are going to be cheaper, yes, but depending on the business model. Robots are supposed to be more universal, yes, but it depends on which application you want to deploy the robot. But specific robots are still needed, especially for the manufacturing sector, the way that I see it. These are dedicated processors that only specific robots will do it faster and cheaper. Yeah.
Alisa, I would like to add a few comments.
Okay, yes.
For the development, for the future of the robotics, that's for the trend of the development of the robotics, I think no doubt is that the robots are going to be more smart. That means that because of the fast development of AI and 5G, like cloud computing, like big data, this kind of new technology combined with robotics technology, the trend for the robotic development is the robotics is going to be smarter and smarter. That is for sure. And for the universal robotics, from my point of view, I don't think in the very near future that there is going to be a universal robotics. Because, for example, in the Chinese market, for the manufacture sectors, we have, I just mentioned, there's so many varieties of manufacturers. For example, automotive is the biggest market for industry robots, and the second largest is electronics. But in China, we have many other sectors, like appliances, like textile, like food, like even construction sectors. Now they are in China. They are deploy the construction machineries. So and also the same as service sector. There's so many industries. There's so many service sectors. I don't think in the near future there's going to be a universal robot which can do all the things, or can do almost most of the things. And from my experiences in Chinese market, I think for Chinese market, either it's manufacturer or the service sector, the robotics development must meet the requirement of the individual industry or individual like textile, I just meant food, construction, automotive or electronics. These the manufacturing process is different, and so this is for the universal robotics. I don't think in China's market it's a goal, or in the near future it's a goal. I think it need to be develop the industry robots which can meet different sectors' requirements, and of course, by adapt the AI, the ICT technology, which the robots can be more smart. And this is for the universal robotics. And also for the future development, I think the industry robot should be more easy to use, more easy to install, and more easy to maintain. And that is also need the like AI, like a new generation of IT, like this kind of technology to be combined with robotics. And if it's possible to cheaper, I think definitely with the I agree with the Mr. Tian that with the more and more production of the robotics, and the production cost can be down, and also for different robots to meet different sectors use, I think that kind of robot can be cheaper than the universal robotics, or than the multifunction robotics. Thank you. That's my opinion.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Song, большое спасибо.
Mr. Song, thank you very much. Colleagues, thank you very much indeed. We have a handful of questions, but unfortunately we ran out of time of our live stream. I thank our participants. Despite all technical glitches, we managed to go live, and we shared very precise information. This stream was very useful for me, and I hope for our viewers as well. We thank our partners in terms of simultaneous interpreting and streaming, and I thank you, our dear viewers. Despite all technical issues, you listened to us and you found it interesting. Thank you very much, and see you in a week exactly in robot environment. Bye bye.